Hi, I'm attorney Victoria Alvarez, and this is segment 3, Emergencies and Sticking to Your Budget. So far, we've discussed what a budget is and how to make one. But in this segment, we're going to cover why you need an emergency fund, even if you don't think you do. And finally, we'll give you some tips that we hope will help you succeed as you start budgeting. But first, because we're attorneys, we always have that legal disclaimer. Be sure to read our legal disclaimer in full, but in sum. These materials and any forms referenced are intended for educational and informational purposes only. At one point or another, everyone faces unexpected expenses and emergencies. Your car breaks down, you need to pay for a new part, you get sick and have to take off work, or a pandemic hits and your hours at work are cut back. The whole point of having an emergency fund is to make sure you save in advance so that you're better prepared to take care of these expenses rather than skipping payments on other bills that might result in late fees, interest, or services being turned off. This will help you minimize the stress that accompanies unexpected expenses and to avoid taking on extra debt or making impossible choices. This means that saving money now can actually save you money later, and it gives you the ability to better handle the things you can't control. Set a starting goal for your emergency fund so that the task of saving money doesn't seem so impossible. For example, $500 is enough to pay for a number of common emergencies that might arise, like buying a new tire or plane ticket or paying for minor medical expenses. Once you reach that goal, you can then increase it to start saving for bigger expenses, like a few months of rent and food in case you lose your job. And once you have an adequate emergency fund, you can start saving for other things. Once you've planned out your budget and set your savings and spendings goals, the next step is actually staying within your budget. A budget isn't something you create and then set aside. You have to check in with yourself and stay accountable for each dollar you spend, and make sure the small things don't snowball and throw you off track. There are 4 key ways you can make sure you stick to the plan. First, check in with yourself every month to review last month's spending and look for ways you can cut expenses. This might mean making coffee at home instead of stopping by the cafe, shopping from a list instead of just picking out what looks good, or paring down the number of monthly subscriptions you pay for. Cutting expenses where you can allows you to put money towards the things you need and will make sticking to your budget easier. Second, pay yourself first. Keep the money meant for your savings separate from the money meant for your spending from the start, rather than waiting until the end of the month to put whatever is left over into savings. If these funds are separate from the beginning, you can then plan out how you want to spend the rest of the money without having to sacrifice what you put aside for the future. Third, track your spending. Some tools like Mint can do this for you. When you track your spending, you can get a better idea of where your money is actually going. Whether you do so by category or by each individual expense, this can help you make informed decisions and can reduce impulse or want-driven purchases. Small expenses can add up, and seeing that for yourself will help you separate your needs from your wants. This will help you hold yourself accountable, so if you start to stray from your budget, you can see where things are going wrong. Finally, use cash instead of relying on credit or debit cards. If you do pay with the card, make sure you're spending only if you can pay the entire bill when it's due. Otherwise, you might have to pay interest, late fees, or overdraft fees. Using cash instead helps encourage accountability, and it's a more visual way to see where your money is going. And once it's gone, and there's no risk of spending more than you're able to afford. Finally, as you start budgeting, you're probably going to have questions. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau provides many different tools to help you plan and follow your budget. They have different guides meant to help you make important financial decisions, or you can look for answers to common questions related to a broad range of topics like student loans, savings, credit cards, or credit scores. Staying within your budget not only helps you save money now, but it also helps you save money for the future. This can be through savings for future expenses or through avoiding the need to take on additional debt, late fees, or interest payments. And while it may seem difficult or time intensive at the beginning, as time passes, it becomes more intuitive and more automatic. Once you start to see the benefits of budgeting, you'll realize that, as we said in the beginning, a budget doesn't mean you can't spend money on anything. It's just a way to save and prioritize your spending to spend money on the things you actually want. Because in the long run, what you keep matters more than what you make. Congratulations! You've successfully completed the Budgeting 101 module. Knowledge is power, so be sure to share this module with your friends, family, and other members of your community. Empowering ourselves changes our lives, but empowering others changes our communities.